I'm Rachel, and I'm here to talk about the 2019 BookTube Prize Shortlist, or Finals List. If you're new to my channel, you might not know that the BookTube Prize is in its inaugural year this year, where judges on BookTube and the bookish community are vetting a bunch of titles in literary fiction published in 2018, and next year they're hoping to also move to nonfiction. I've been participating unofficially by taking 12 titles off of the longest of the long lists, the Octafinals list, and reading them and creating my own personal shortlist. And 2 of the books on my own shortlist are on the official shortlist. The other 4 books I haven't read yet, and probably I won't for a while because I already have a reading list like nth long, so it's just so much to read. But in the spirit of celebrating the prize, and I'll link to Robert Barter-Hordes' finalist video down below, I thought I would give my impressions of all of the books on the official shortlist. You know, those sort of reactionary videos that people make about other book prizes as well. So anyway, I'll start with a brief recap of the 2 books that I have read on the official shortlist, and the first one is Fruit of the Drunken Tree by Ingrid Rojas Contreras. I think this book is continuing to grow in my estimation. I really like how the character is able to differentiate between her 2 narrators so well. This is a story about 2 girls living in Colombia during the reign of Pablo Escobar, and one lives in a gated community and another one is from the slums, and in fact they know each other because the one from the slums is a servant to the one in the gated community. And it takes a look at how the violence and crime of the country at that time affects the lives of these girls and more generally women. The second book I've read on the official shortlist is A Place for Us by Fatima Farheen Mirza. This is a novel about a Muslim American family, but it's not really a political novel, although they of course brush up against the political realities of living in this country as Muslims in the era of 9/11, say. But it's really about the members of this family and how they interact with one another and how they jostle against conservative restrictions, particularly the younger generation. There's an incredible intimacy and intricacy to how Mirza crafts her characters and their interactions. It's really something remarkable, and I think a lot of people have responded to that. And since I'm not an official judge, I feel no compunction in saying that I hope this one does win the official prize this year. I know that's unfair because I haven't read these next 4 books, but at least I'll give them a shout out here. Starting with A Ladder to the Sky by John Boyne. And what I understand about this book is that it's about an asshole writer being an asshole. And so I'm thinking to myself, really? Really, everybody? You're telling me I need to read a book about an asshole being an asshole? I know you all are saying it's a good book, but really? I don't know. Then we have Pat Barker's The Silence of the Girls, which is a historical novel taking place around the Trojan War, and it follows the perspective of Briseis, a woman who was caught up in the war as a war prisoner of Achilles. I think it would be useful for me to get this perspective, especially since my primary thought about the Achilles-Briseis relationship comes from the movie Troy, which was written by one of the Game of Thrones showrunners, and that of course is with Brad Pitt and Rose Byrne, and they play it up as a romance, and there's all of this epic swooning music, and their bodies are shifting over each other, and there's these wonderful intense gazes, and it's like this epic love story, and we're swooning, and the crescendo rises and rises, and okay, enough of the music now. Anyway, I know this is fiction, but I think it might be nice to get a more realistic perspective of what life might have been like in those circumstances. Next is Happiness by Aminata Forna, which I believe is about some people from different circumstances meeting up in the UK. Mostly what I remember about it is that it's about foxes. That's the thing that comes up, I think, in a lot of reviews. And one of the earliest reviews I remember, I believe, came from Eric Carl Anderson, and then he started talking about seeing foxes on the tube, I guess, or the train, and anyway, ever since, every time I see deer on the DC Metro, I think about him in the video and this book. Hopefully, if I read it, I'd be left with more honest memories. Every time I dip back into the synopsis, it does sound appealing. And finally, we have There There by Tommy Orange, which I think would click a lot of my buttons. I love multiple perspective books. I love books that take a look at an insular community. I think one of the main things this book would do as well, which is about Native Americans, is showcase the shortcomings in my own education about Indigenous people from my country. But it would all be worth it for a good story, and certainly a lot of people think this is a good story, because it made it a long way on this prize. So that about covers it for me now. I will link more information about the BookTube Prize and about the books down below. I know my synopses weren't necessarily informative, except hopefully for the first two, but I hope they were fun. And I will be back in October to talk about the official finale of this 2018 prize. It's been a lot of fun to be its cheerleader. I've really enjoyed the experience of reading and talking about these books. So thank you to Robert and the judges for all your hard work, and thank you all for listening. And I will see you next time.